Joining me now is Congressman Colin Allred, who represents a district very close to where the shooting happened yesterday. He just announced his run for Senate against Ted Cruz. You were born in Dallas. You are raising your two sons there. They're fifth-generation Texans.
That's right.
So before I ask you about the politics about this, I wanted to ask you about your reaction as a parent.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry that I'm joining you under these circumstances. Every North Texan knows that outlet mall. It's a place where you can go to get good deals. It's not a place where you should be worried that a madman's going to come in and try and murder you and your family. And I couldn't agree with you more about being so worried about your kids. Every time I send my 4- and 2-year-old off to school or see them go off with someone else, I worry about them. My little 2-year-old, waddling with his little diaper butt, just the feeling that maybe something could happen. But it doesn't have to be this way. Our public places don't have to become memorials. That church could just be where your daughter got married. It doesn't have to be the site of the next mass shooting. This is a policy choice. These are policy choices that have been made by the state of Texas and, of course, largely blocked in the United States Senate, leading with Ted Cruz.
Now, Congressman Jeff Leach, who represents Allen, a district very close to your current congressional district, had this to say last night.
Here we are, and we are resolute in our commitment to pray for, praying and believing for the victims and their families. There are many, many people in our community tonight who are hurting, whose lives have been shattered, and who need and deserve our collective prayers, and they have them.
Now, everybody puts forward thoughts and prayers. Of course, everybody's praying for people during this moment, but he didn't have any solutions in there. How do you reason with somebody like that?
Well, prayer is important, but so is action. And we know that there are common sense steps that we can take to make sure that this doesn't happen in our country. We're not more violent than other countries. We don't have a more predilection to violence in this country. We have easier access to weapons of war that can do more damage than other countries do. And that's why we keep having this happen over and over and over again. It's a form of mass terror. When you don't feel safe in public, it's also impacting your freedom. This is something that I think we all understand implicitly, that if you're not free to go out to the mall or to the movie or to your place of worship, then you have been impacted by this. And that's what we are seeing. Every single parent, I think, on Monday, tomorrow, is going to feel something when they drop their kids off at school. They're going to feel that worry.
I know I do. I know you do.
I know I will, yeah.
Now, you have been, as you just mentioned, a supporter of a range of common sense gun safety measures. You've supported assault weapons bans, you've supported federal flag laws, you've supported universal background checks. Yeah. How do you think those positions will resonate with the people of Texas as you're campaigning? And are you going to tout that on the campaign trail?
Well, the vast, vast majority of Texans support universal background checks. I think that's understood, that we should start with that. They support the use of red flag laws. I think they understand that. We should work and begin where we know we have common ground. We did get a 30-year, for the first time in 30 years, some breakthrough last year. We can build on that and try to move forward. But obviously, this is a situation where we have to talk about what's actually happening, which is that weapons of war should not be in our communities, that we are seeing the same types of weapons used in shooting after shooting after shooting. They are not for personal protection. They're not for hunting.
Assault weapons.
Assault weapons. These are weapons that only have one purpose, and they are too lethal, and we need to have some guardrails on that.
Now, assault weapons, you have been a supporter of an assault weapons ban. You didn't mention that in your summary there. Is it still your support for an assault weapons ban something you're going to talk about on the campaign?
Well, I'm a co-sponsor of the legislation. There's no running away from that. What I think we have to talk about, of course, though, is what we can get done right now and what we have the votes for. And that's what I often spend my time on. That's sort of my approach as a legislator. But I'm going to continue to say that that's something we need to do. Because to me, this is a common sense thing. It's a common sense thing I think most parents understand. I think most folks understand that these weapons don't have a use in our communities outside of killing too many people in too short of a period of time.
A couple of hours before this latest shooting, Senator Cruz was attacking you over comments you made 5 years ago about whether it would be better if the Second Amendment was never written. He said, wow, this guy wants to represent Texas. Do you want to give more context surrounding those comments and what you were trying to say there?
Well, that's, they're cherry-picking comments, of course, taken trying to explain to somebody that we could not get rid of the Second Amendment, that we have to work to try and, within the confines, to try and find ways to protect law-abiding gun owners, to make sure that people do have their rights protected, but in a way that's also consistent with protecting our overall freedom and our overall communities. And I think that's possible. This is not, we should stop acting like this is something we can't do, okay? Ted Cruz wants to talk about all the things that we can't do, how small we are as a country, how small we are as Texans, everything we should be afraid of. I have a different story, one about all the things we can do together, because I've seen it. I was raised by a single mother in a community where I know I wouldn't be sitting here right now if we were who Ted Cruz thinks we are.
So another challenging policy matter is, of course, immigration. And you're running to represent a state that's on the border. How concerned are you about the impact of the lifting of Title 42, which is slated to happen this week? And do you believe the Biden administration has taken the necessary steps to prepare for that? Yeah,
well, my family's from the border, from Brownsville. It's where my mom and aunt were raised. I spent most of my summers driving down there, even going down to board up my grandma's house when a hurricane was coming. I understand these communities are under a lot of pressure, and that when we see these surges of migrants, that we need to have a response commensurate with that. And so I think one thing we've gotten wrong in D.C., whether it's this president or previous presidents, is just treating this as a political issue, not helping these communities to feel fully supported. And so, yes, the lifting of Title 42 is going to bring some additional challenges. But this is partly because we have folks like Ted Cruz in the United States Senate who won't allow us to pass any kind of comprehensive immigration reform or any kind of reform at all that might help us better address dealing with folks coming to our border, because it's too good of a political issue, Jen. That's why they don't want to deal with this. We've had frameworks before, whether that's in the Obama administration or George W. Bush, my former constituent. We've had frameworks, bipartisan, where we know we can try and do something. We haven't acted on this since the Reagan administration. I think we can do something.
So as you're preparing to campaign, do you want President Biden, Vice President Harris, to come campaign with you in Texas?
I've always said this is going to be about Texans talking to Texans and neighbors talking to neighbors. I said that when I ran in 2018.
So that sounds like you're not inviting them to campaign with you at this point in time.
I'm never going to turn anybody away, but this is not going to be won by outsiders. There are 30 million Texans who deserve a better senator than Ted Cruz. That's the truth. Every Texan knows, even folks I think who are going to vote for Ted Cruz, that he's only in this for himself. He wants to get on TV as much as possible. He wants to promote his 3 podcasts that he's doing a week as much as possible.
He's podcasting a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I represent about 1 million Texans, a little less. He represents 30 million. I can't imagine having the time to do 3 podcasts, but of course, that's a little bit of a separate topic. But this is going to be about us, and we can do it. We can. I know we can. I've won tough races before. I beat a 22-year incumbent just to get into the Congress. My story alone has been about overcoming tough odds. We're going to win this.
Congressman Colin Allred, thank you so much for joining me on set today.
Yeah.
And, of course, my heart goes out to everybody in the communities in Texas as well.